Hey guys, I'm Zach from dreamoфenglish.com, the place for English vocabulary, idioms, and grammar, always put into context just for you guys. So tell me, are you used to using used to, be used to, or get used to? If not, stick around. Used to, be used to, or get used to. This can be quite confusing at times. So, in this video, we are going to look at this in 3 different sections. First of all, I will give you the grammar, okay, that is to say the structure of each one. Then I will put it into context. And finally, I will give you some exercises to do to make sure you really understand this well. So let's begin with the structure. Used to. Used to we use with the infinitive, with the verb. And we use this to talk about past habits or past states which are different to now. This is the important part of used to. So something that we did in the past, something that we thought in the past, but we no longer do it or think it. We could also talk about something that we didn't do or didn't think in the past, but now we do. So this is used to, with the infinitive. Let's look at 3 different examples. So when I was a teenager, I used to play the PlayStation every day. Now I don't. I don't own a PlayStation. I don't have time to play the PlayStation. So now I don't play the PlayStation. But when I was a teenager, I used to play the PlayStation. I didn't used to like olives. But now I live in Spain, so obviously I love olives. Okay, so we could see these are 2 different habits, 2 different states which have changed over time. And if you notice here, in the affirmative, obviously it's used to with ed. In the negative, we use the auxiliary didn't, therefore we put used to without the d. And finally, what TV program did you used to watch? So this is a question. What TV program did you used to watch? Maybe when you were younger. Did you used to watch SpongeBob SquarePants, Power Rangers, Powerpuff Girls? Why don't you leave a comment below about the TV program that you used to watch when you were younger? So this is used to, with the infinitive to talk about past habits. Okay, so we will leave one of those up there so that we can move on to be used to. It is important to remember that be used to and get used to have quite a different structure to used to. So this is often where the confusion comes. First of all, be used to and get used to, they go with the gerund, the verb with ing, not the infinitive. We can also use them with the noun instead of the verb. So this is quite different to used to. Another difference is that we can use be used to and get used to in the past, present and future, whereas used to is simply for the past. So now what is the difference between be used to and get used to? Well, be used to is used when you are familiar with something. It's to talk about familiarity or maybe a habit that you have. Again, it goes with the gerund or a noun, and we can use it in the past, present, or future. So let's say for me, I am used to waking up early in the morning. In a previous job, I had to teach class at 7, so I became familiar with waking up early. And now I'm used to it. Now it's not a problem for me to get up early. When I moved to Thailand, I wasn't used to spicy food. So this was not familiar to me, spicy food. And finally, are you used to reading in English? Again, leave a comment below. Are you used to reading in English? So there we have it. Okay, be used to with the gerund or a noun. Waking up, spicy food. Let's go to get used to. So get used to is similar to be used to. Be used to talks about being familiar. Get used to talks about becoming familiar. Okay, it's almost the step before be used to. And again, this goes with the gerund, or it can go with the noun. And finally, the past, present, and future all applies to get used to. Okay, so let's say I live in Spain right now. I used to live in England. I grew up in England. What is the difference? Well, the weather. Let's be honest. Here it is a lot hotter than in London. So I am getting used to the heat of Spain, the Spanish summers. This means that I'm becoming more and more familiar with it, and hopefully in the future I'll be used to the Spanish summers. I said that when I went to Thailand, I wasn't used to spicy food. But it didn't take me long to get used to it. So I quickly got used to spicy food in Thailand. And to be honest with you now, I love spicy food. Okay? And finally, do you think you will ever get used to watching films in English? Will you become familiar with watching films? Will this be a good habit for you to have? So will you get used to watching films in English? Again, tell me in the comments below if you think you will get used to watching films in English. We got that? I hope so. So again, used to talk about past habits, and it goes with the infinitive. Be used to talks about being familiar with something, and it can go with the gerund or the noun. And finally, get used to, becoming familiar with something. The gerund, the noun, be used to, get used to can be used in the past, present, and future. Okay, so I'm going to leave all of these up here somewhere for you to have reference to them when I tell you a little bit about myself. I would like you to listen carefully to how I use each one, why I use each one, and how the grammar changes slightly. Okay? So, my life used to be very different. I used to think differently. I used to want the big house. I used to want the fast car, the high-paying job. And then I became a teacher. Okay, so this quickly changed, and I no longer think the same. I was also used to my home comforts when I was living in England. This also changed when I decided to leave. And I first went to Thailand. So imagine, I wasn't used to the food, I wasn't used to the language, I wasn't used to the culture. But it wasn't a problem for me. And I quickly got used to these things. And by the end of my time in Thailand, I used to meditate daily. Unfortunately, this is something I no longer do. Maybe I should start again. But yeah, I used to meditate a lot in Thailand. I then went to South America. I actually lived in Colombia and Mexico. So when I first went to Colombia, I had to quickly get used to the language. Okay, because I didn't speak Spanish at the time. So how did I get used to the language? How did I get used to Spanish? Well, I used to take Spanish classes 2 or 3 times per week. And then I quickly got used to the language. And by the end of my time in Mexico, I was used to speaking with friends in Spanish. I was used to being in meetings in Spanish, and this was no longer a problem for me. So yeah, now I am living in Spain. By now I am used to living abroad. I'm getting used to the Spanish summer. I'm getting used to the differences in the Spanish language. For example, the vosotros, which they don't use in Latin America. But I think I'm getting used to it. So, who knows what I will have to get used to next? Whew, there we go. So that is a little story about my life using used to, be used to, and get used to. Now let's see who was paying attention. So I am going to ask a couple of questions and I want you to choose the correct answer. Okay? So my life be very different. So used to, got used to, was used to. Which is correct? My life used to be very different. When I first moved to Thailand, spicy food. I used to, wasn't used to, getting used to. The answer is I wasn't used to spicy food. In South America, I had to, the language. So I had to be used to, get used to, or used to. I said I had to get used to the language. In Spain, the Spanish summers. Used to, be used to, am getting used to. I am getting used to the Spanish summers is correct. And finally, I living abroad. I'm used to, I'm getting used to, or used to. The correct answer, I am used to living abroad. That is it, guys. Used to, be used to, get used to. I hope that you have got used to this format, that you will get used to using them. Maybe you were already used to this structure. As always, leave comments below. Maybe tell me what you used to watch. Whether you are used to reading in English, whether you will get used to watching films in English. You can follow me on Instagram. Okay, check out my website for more videos, blog posts, online classes, anything that you can think of. All of these links will be in the description below. That is it. Have a great day, guys, and I'll see you next time on Dream of English.